This video will demonstrate how to upload firmware images for updating target devices. The first step is to upload the firmware publisher certificate, if there isn't one present. Click the Account button in the upper right corner of the page. Then select the profile. Next, click the Upload New Firmware Publisher Certificate button. Before uploading the certificate, we need to prepare 3 files. The first is the Firmware Publisher Certificate to be registered. The second is a test file to be signed. It can be any small file. Lastly, we need the signature generated by signing the test file with the private key corresponding to the Firmware Publisher Certificate. All 3 files can be prepared using your own tools. For example, we can use the common tool OpenSSL to create them. Examples of the OpenSSL commands are shown here. One command generates the firmware publisher certificate, while the other generates a signature for the specified test file. First, enter an alias for the certificate. Then select the certificate file. It must be an X509 certificate. Next, select the test file. The last file to specify is the signature of the test file to be validated. Click the Submit button. The screen displays a success message to indicate that the certificate and signature have passed validation, and that the firmware publisher certificate has been registered successfully. This certificate will be used to validate the firmware manifest uploaded later. Now, as firmware publishers, we can upload our firmware images for device firmware update. First, click the Manage Firmware button displayed on the sidebar. On this page, the Incomplete Signature Uploads tab at the top lists firmware that has been uploaded but not yet signed. The Download tab is used to download firmware to the target devices. The Install tab is used to install firmware that has already been downloaded. The Download and Install tabs will be covered in the next firmware update video. Next, click the Upload File button in the upper right corner. Let's specify the firmware image file to upload. And fill in the alias name for the firmware image. Next, confirm the target for the firmware and enter the version. The default target is already correct, so there is no need to select it manually. And select the certificate we uploaded previously. OK, after filling out and sending, NMC Web Monitor will use the information to generate a manifest file describing the firmware. And start downloading it automatically. Select the location to store the downloaded manifest file. Here is an example of an OpenSSL command for signing the manifest. Next, run the prepared BAT file to sign the downloaded manifest with the private key corresponding to the firmware publisher certificate. Finally, upload the generated manifest signature to authenticate the firmware image uploaded earlier. The uploaded manifest signature has passed verification, so the firmware upload is now complete. The uploaded firmware is now ready for deployment. In the next video, we will demonstrate how to download the firmware to a target device and install it.